I have a confession to make. I'm a Gen 2er, Gen 2 defender? I don't know. But I would always stand up for Gen 2 and say it was the best generation of Pokemon. Not anymore though, and certainly not after this Nuzlocke. I'm going to quickly throw up the rules for my Hardcore Nuzlocke on screen now. Basically, on top of regular Nuzlocke rules, there's no overleveling the next gym leader's best Pokemon, no items in battle, and I must play on set mode. I always used to be torn over whether to pick Totodile or Cyndaquil in Johto, but I've pretty much decided now that Cyndaquil is the best starter in Generation 2. Fire types are rare in most games, but they are practically non-existent in Johto, whereas water types are literally everywhere, so we should be able to pick up plenty of bulky water types for coverage whenever we need them. Generation 2 has definitely the worst level curve in any Pokemon game, and it makes the level cap for Nuzlocking extremely challenging, and a lot of thought has to be put into which Pokemon you level up and when. Falkner's level cap of 9, yes 9, means that careful planning has to be made to battle him before any team members level up too high. This can be tricky at lower levels when experience can cause Pokemon to level up multiple times. On my way to Falkner, I catch Rattata, Caterpie, Pidgey and Zubat. I also learned in this playthrough you can catch Growlithe on Route 36 outside Violet City, but it uses Roar, and I miss it. The battle against Falkner starts smoothly, with Rattata knocking out his Pidgey with ease. Then he sends out his illegal level 9 Pidgeotto. His Pidgeotto is very strong for this point in the game, being a middle evolution, and with no Geodude to counter, there's not much I can do except whittle it down. I end up losing Zubat in this fight to get a clean switch into Rattata, and I manage to hit 2 quick attacks to take it out. I catch all of my encounters en route to Azalea Town, adding Bellsprout, Sandshrew and Spearow to my team. Spearow ends up sweeping Bugsy's entire team using super effective pecks, and I earn the Hive Badge. The rival battle before Alex Forest starts off well, with Butterfree getting 2 one-hit KOs on both Ghastly and Zubat using Confusion. I send out Bellsprout against Croconaw, but it gets hit by a critical hit scratch and goes down. Rattata then cleans up. I catch Snubbull on Route 35 and buy an Abro with 100 coins from the game corner. In my rule set, trades aren't counted as encounters because I have to get the correct Pokemon to make the trade in the first place. So I head to the department store and trade for the Machop. Though it may not seem like it at first, this is actually a mistake, and was caused by another mistake that I made before I even got to Violet City. I'll explain more about this later though, when the multiple events snowball into one larger overall mistake. Whitney can cause devastating damage to most teams, but thanks to Machop, she's a total breeze this time. Against Morty I decide to lead Granbull, as it knows the move Bite, but Ghastly moves first, hitting Granbull with a curse. Due to the curse on Granbull, I end up switching to Butterfree. Hunter uses Hypnosis, but it misses. Butterfree does knock out Haunter, but it gets cursed. I switch to Granbull, but Gengar puts it to sleep. 3 meter is doing way too much damage, and I go to Pidgeotto and decide to play the RNG game, spamming Sand Attack as much as possible. Gengar stops Pidgeotto switching out with Mean Loop, then manages to hit Hypnosis through the accuracy drops. 2 Dream Eaters hit through 2, and Pidgeotto goes down. Kolava manages to hold its own for the rest of the battle and takes down both Gengar and Haunter. Losing Pidgeotto isn't a huge deal as I have Fearow as a backup flyer, but this was a needless death with better planning. In retrospect, I should have headed along Route 38 and picked up a Mint Berry, equipping this to either Granbull or Butterfree. This would then have allowed them to wake up immediately, protecting them from Dream Eater for at least one more turn. This is the part of Crystal that gets very confusing though. Chuck's level cap is 30, Jasmine's is 35, and Price's is 31. In order to keep to the level caps as efficiently as possible, we have to do some careful planning. The reason for this is that once you get to Ecruteak, you can progress the story in multiple directions, either heading east to Mahogany or west to Olivine and then on to Shanwood, which is what I did. The next additions to my team end up being Meowth, Magnemite, Krabby, and Tentacruel. Another gym weak to flying types, and another sweep for my Fearow. Primeape takes 2 super effective pecks from Fearow, and Poliwrath takes 3 before going down. This is all that's needed to beat Chuck. Damageless too, I might add. The next story event for me happens at the Lake of Rage, where we take on this weird looking Gyarados. I try to catch it, but it knocks itself out in confusion caused by its thrash. Oh well, I'm sure there's nothing interesting about it anyway. Taking out Team Rocket's secret headquarters is incredibly boring due to all the trainers being so underleveled compared to what we just faced in Chuck's gym. I end up just mostly using my Raticate since it was a lower level compared to the rest of my team. This allows me to stay under Price's level cap of 31 using the same team from the battle with Chuck. Price is another relatively straightforward battle. I lead Magneton into Seal, which goes down in one hit to a crit Thundershock. The crit definitely mattered here as Thundershock is such a weak attack at 40 base power. Dewgong comes out next and it's going to take 3 Thundershocks to take it out. Before Magneton can get the third and final hit, Dewgong goes for rest. However, before it can wake up again, Magneton manages to take it out. Price's last Pokemon is Piloswine, so I pivot into Kingler here and Surf is an easy 2-hit KO. Jasmine is up next and leads with one of her Magnemites, so I go to Quilava here which outspeeds and knocks it out using Flame Wheel. She sends out Steelix next, which is a big threat to Cool Lava as it knows the move Rock Throw, so I switch into Kingler. Steelix just goes for Screech though, and Kingler's Surf is more than enough to take it out, with a Hyper Potion just delaying the inevitable. The second Magnemite goes down like the first to a Cool Lava Flame Wheel. The last bit of the story arc now unfolds as we head to Goldenrod Radio Tower to deal with Team Rocket for the final time. This is another part of the game where the levels are an absolute joke and barely any trainers have any level 30 Pokemon. The toughest trainer we face is the Rocket Executive at the top of the radio tower. He has a self-destructing team consisting of 4 Coughings and a Wheezing. Unfortunately, I left Magneton in the PC, meaning I don't have any resists for the self-destructs, and Fearow ends up getting taken out. Before the fight with Claire, I catch a Swinub, Donphan, Geodude, and Magikarp. Claire has 3 Dragonair and a Kingdra. Kingdra is a particularly tricky Pokemon to deal with at the best of times, as its only true weakness is Dragon-type attacks in Gen 2. Kingler takes out the first Dragonair, but I need to switch to Typhlosion as I expect she will send out the one that knows Thunderbolt next, which she does. Typhlosion weakens the Dragonair, and Raticate comes in to get the knockout. Raticate then continues on and knocks out the final Dragonair too. Kingdra outspeeds and hits Raticate with a Hyper Beam. It manages to hold on with 1 HP, and hits back with a Super Fang that does half damage. Magneton manages to paralyze the Kingdra after Claire uses a Hyper Potion, and Gyarados takes it down with a couple of Dragon Rages. With the Johto Gym Challenge finished, the level cap increases here to 47, based on Karen's ace, Houndoom. The last encounters I catch before the Elite Four are Dratini and Ghastly. I don't add Dratini to my team, but I do add Ghastly and evolve it into Haunter. My full team for the Elite Four Gauntlet will be Typhlosion, Magneton, Haunter, Gyarados, Tentacruel, and Machoke. I do have some preparation I need to do first though. I head back to Goldenrod department store and pick up the TMs for Thunder Punch and Fire Punch. Also, I pick up Earthquake and Victory Road. I end up teaching all of these to Typhlosion, which gives it a more diverse move pool, as I expect to be relying on it for most of the battles. Will the Psychic Master is up first, and Typhlosion shows the power of the elemental punches, taking out his first 3 Pokemon with Thunder Punch, and then the last 2 with Fire Punch. Koga's team is all poison and bug types. Typhlosion has a great matchup here again. His Ariados and Fortress go down to single Fire Punches, and his Muck manages to body an Earthquake, but the subsequent Swift is too much for it. Crobat outspeeds my entire team though, and is a serious threat, as it knows Double Team and can basically evade all my attacks. Tentacruel eventually hits an Icy Wind through the Double Team, which allows Typhlosion to outspeed, and with Swift bypassing accuracy checks, we can whittle it down slowly. To be honest, I didn't particularly play well against Crobat. The correct play was to Thunder Punch with Typhlosion before it got up too many double teams, and then fall back to Swift. I ended up just messing around and then having to rely on Swift to bail me out of a bad situation of my own making. Koga's last Pokemon Venomoth goes down to a one-hit KO Fire Punch from Typhlosion. Bruno is substantially buffed from Generation 1, where he's a total joke. Earthquake does double damage against an opponent who's in the semi-invulnerable turn of Dig. Hitmontop is guaranteed to use Dig against Typhlosion, so I use Earthquake on the off chance Hitmontop might outspeed us, and I can get the double damage. I switch to Gyarados here, which takes it out with Surf, but the best play was just to click Earthquake again since we outsped Hitmontop anyway. Typhlosion then knocks out Hitmonchan and Gyarados takes out Onix. Machamp is seriously scary for my team, and my only counter is Haunter, which I switched to. It gets hit with a Rock Slide, which in hindsight was obviously going to happen, and it takes big damage. Basically, I've backed myself into a corner here. My only play left is Hypnosis, which has a 60% chance of hitting. If I don't hit this, then the run is over. I'm unlikely to get past Karen and Lance without all 6 team members. Remember the mistake I spoke about with needing to trade Machop for Whitney? Well, if I hadn't made that trade, I would have been able to keep the Abra and have Kadabra by now. Kadabra, for instance, would have Psychic and be able to outspeed and one-shot the entirety of Bruno's team. But how could I have prevented needing the Machop? Well, remember the Geodude I caught? I caught it on Route 46 at level 3. It was a guaranteed catch in the afternoon or night, as I already had a Rattata and Spearow. If I had picked this up, it would have walled Whitney's Miltank, and I would never have needed Machop. Painful. So the 60% Hypnosis chance. Well, I hit it, and thankfully I'm not punished for my mistake. Sandstorm comes in, and Haunter is able to hang on and hit a Dream Eater, knocking out Machamp and restoring its health. Hitmonlee only knows fighting moves that can't hit Haunter without using Foresight first. Hypnosis lands again, and Dream Eater is a 2-hit KO. We made it through without any casualties. Karen is up next, and not content that I'd thrown enough already, I forget to lead Machoke into Umbreon. I'm not punished again, as it only uses Sand Attack. I pick Vital Throw, which can't miss anyway, and it goes down in 2 hits. Tentacruel then knocks out Vileplume and Gengar. Murkrow goes down to Thundershock from Magneton, and Gyarados surfs Houndoom away. A much more straightforward win for me this time. The champion in this game, Lance, is very threatening. He has 3 illegal Dragonites, plus a Charizard, Aerodactyl, and Gyarados. This isn't going to be easy with my team. Magneton takes out Gyarados with Thundershock, but not before it's able to set up a Rain Dance. Thundershock is unfortunately the best electric attack Magneton can learn by leveling up. The movesets are improved on Generation 1, but are still terrible at times. The first Dragonite comes out, and I don't notice its level. It's the strongest one, and it knows Outrage and Fire Blast. With Rain up, Fire Blast is weakened, so it chooses Outrage, but I do manage to paralyze it. Tentacruel misses the 95% accuracy Icy Wind, but it hits the second, and Dragonite knocks it out. That miss was costly, but Gyarados is eventually able to take it down with Dragon Rage. I'm pretty confident the next Dragonite is the Thunderbolt one, so I need to get Gyarados out of there, sacrificing Magneton to get a clean switch to Haunter. I hit a huge 60% Hypnosis, and Haunter dispatches the Dragonite with ease. Our luck with Hypnosis runs out, and the next Dragonite paralyzes Haunter. Blizzard comes in, and Haunter endures, putting Dragonite to sleep this time. Haunter is paralyzed on the next turn, and only hits 2 Dream Eaters before Dragonite wakes up. Blizzard comes in again, and misses, which is huge. Another Blizzard, and Haunter holds on with 3 HP, and Hypnosis hits again. 2 more Dream Eaters and the Dragonite finally goes down. Just Aerodactyl and Charizard left. Unlike in Pokemon Red, this Aerodactyl can hit Haunter, as it doesn't only know normal type moves. I pivot to Machoke for a sacrifice, and it survives a wing attack to hit a massive cross chop before going down. I get a clean switch to Gyarados, but forget Rock isn't resisted by water, and end up going down to a super effective Rock Slide. Typhlosion outspeeds Aerodactyl, and I Thunder Punch to take it out. I lost Gyarados for no reason, and it would have been good backup for Typhlosion against Charizard. In the end, we don't need it though, and 2 Thunder Punches take it out anyway. Now we are the champions of the Indigo League, but this isn't the end. We need to take on all the Kanto gym leaders and then summit Mount Silver and defeat Red. The level caps in Kanto are somehow even worse than the ones in Johto, so I set a cap of 58 for all of them, which is the same as Blue's best Pokemon, and we will battle him last. I only end up losing 2 Pokemon against the first 7 gym leaders, both to Sabrina. These are Graveler and Piloswine. Losing Graveler is a bit annoying for Red's Pikachu, but there's other ground types, and I still have Earthquake on Typhlosion. Blue's team is basically his exact team from Generation 1, except he hasn't got his starter anymore, placing it with one of his optional Pokemon. Typhlosion is able to knock out Pidgeot with 2 Thunder Punches, and Blue goes to Rhydon. For some reason, I think Earthquake will be a one-hit KO on Rhydon, and obviously it's not going to be, and I get hit back with Rhydon's own Earthquake, destroying Typhlosion in the process. I go to Kingler and use Surf, finishing off the Rhydon. This is what I should have done in the first place. Executor is up next. Dragonite uses Fly and dodges a Solar Beam. It's not quite enough to take it out. Blue uses a full restore and we take it out with a second Fly. Gyarados uses Hyper Beam and Dragonite takes big damage, but it's able to get 2 Flies off. Another Hyper Beam from Gyarados knocks out my Dragonite. I shouldn't have risked the second Fly with low health. Another mistake here. Snorlax body slams the Gyarados and then proceeds to roll through Blue's Alakazam and Arcanine. Not a great battle to be honest. Losing Typhlosion and Dragonite here was totally preventable, and we're going to need a big refresh of the team before taking on Red. I was going to get Houndoom anyway, as I want a Dark type for Red's Espeon, but we're also going to need it now for its Fire typing. However, catching Houndour on Route 7 is not guaranteed. We're going to need to do a bit of work to get Dupe's Claws in play. First, I go to Route 18 and catch Grimer. This gives us a guaranteed Murkrow on Route 16. On Route 5, we catch Hoot Hoot, and then onto Route 8 to catch a guaranteed Jigglypuff. With this, we've caught everything else on Route 7, giving us a guaranteed Houndour, which we find in our very first encounter anyway. However, we have to be very careful as Houndour knows Roar, so I use my Master Ball just to make extra sure we catch it. The last additions to my team are Dugtrio, Voltorb, and Staryu. In order to get Starmie, I have to get a Water Stone from Fisher Tully on Route 37. I mess about with Daylight Savings Time and eventually he calls me to let me know he has found one. With this, I have my final team for Red. Dugtrio, Haunter, Starmie, Electrode, Houndoom, and Snorlax. Red leads with his Pikachu, so I send out Dugtrio and use Earthquake. Pikachu is fast, but Dugtrio is faster, and it goes down in one hit. I sacrifice Dugtrio to Venusaur, and this gives us a safe switch into Haunter, which I caught the Psychic TM from Saffron City. Venusaur goes down in one hit. Snorlax can't actually hit Haunter at all, which is excellent as we can just safely spam Psychic until it faints. Espeon's Psychic type moves can't hit Houndoom, and I know Red will use one as it's super effective against Haunter. This then gives us a safe switch to Houndoom. One crunch is all that's needed and the Espeon is done. Blastoise is incredibly bulky and we no longer need Houndoom, so I stay in and crunch. A Rain Dance boosted Surf knocks out Houndoom and we get another safe switch to Electrode. It uses Swift and Blastoise goes down, leaving us with 3 Pokemon versus Charizard. Electrode blows Charizard off the face of the planet and I win the battle in an explosive ending. Red vanishes from the top of the mountain and the second end credits roll. So how did we do? Well, For my own performance in the Nuzlocke, it was great in places, and poor in others. Some silly plays did derail things a bit in the Elite Four, and then through Kanto, but the Johto part of the Nuzlocke was very good. Lots to learn from, put it that way. And Pokemon Crystal? Well, as I said at the start, Crystal has a terrible level curve through the Johto mid-game, and stupid level caps. The Kanto gym leaders have good teams and great coverage, but they are so underleveled for that point in the game that the player needs to jump through too many hoops to make it enjoyable to Nuzlocke properly. Johto's encounters also leave little to be desired, and the lack of move coverage and good TMs means building a team for the Elite Four is annoying. Some of these things would be solved in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but those are different games for a different day. Generation 2 is definitely a harder Nuzlocke than Generation 1, but it's for all the wrong reasons. In all, a fun game to Nuzlocke, but frustrating at points. In order to figure out whether Generation 1 as well as Generation 2 are worth Nuzlocking, then you'll need to watch this video I've linked here of my Pokemon Red Nuzlocke. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.